Susan, I'm up here. Up. I'll come down and join you. Are you waiting for Donna?
do whatever pick you want. Electronics. I'll mess up. I'm going to use the microphone. I'm just using it.
Yeah, I'll just there.
I just want to make sure they have it.
Like looking in between those two stained glass.
They can text.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our time today. I would love for it to begin with song, so please open your hymnals to 451. We're going to sing, Be Thou My Vision. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else. Let us pray. Oh God, that is what we desire from this time together, that you would be our vision, that you would be our heart. Come, Holy Spirit. Amen. Welcome, everyone, and welcome if you are live streaming with us. We are glad to have you with us for our church family conversation. Let's talk about it. So just a few logistics before we start our conversation. The first is this is being live streamed. So all the things that we say will be recorded, and those who have the link will be listening to what we all say. And then later on, it will be available on our YouTube channel. So you can view it if you missed something or you couldn't understand something or would like to listen again because you enjoy listening to conversations at church. You can do that. And so that way, we're trying to be as transparent and as accessible as we can during this COVID reality. Later on, we will invite you all to share your thoughts and questions and dreams, hence the microphones that we have set up in the aisles. So when we come to that part of our time together, we encourage you to choose the one that you like the best, and then we will hear from you. We're going to start as a staff, Keith, Mike, and I, sharing some things that we wish to share with you. And this time is not designed as a question and answer time. This time is we will share with you all some of the things we would like to talk about, how we have been the church throughout COVID and the changes we've had to navigate, and the ways in which we as a staff have worked to continue to be as vibrant as a community of faith as we can be. And then we will listen to you. We will take all of the things that you all have shared with us, and if you wish to write them down and email us later, if you're not a talker in public, I understand that myself, you can email us your questions, follow-up. We will take all of the input and discuss it as a whole staff and with leadership team, and then we'll respond at a later date. So that is how we're going to go about today. So first, I would like to share just a good celebration story. So throughout COVID, as a staff, it has been difficult for all of us in many different ways. It's difficult when your whole ministry and life, the way you see it, involves a lot of people and being together physically. So we have been challenged over our time. And as we recognize, our church doesn't really pale in comparison, at least in the visibility of ourselves, to what we were pre-COVID, the things that we hold to the most. And so I wish to share this story with you because it was incredibly affirming to me, and I shared it with our staff on Thursday in our staff meeting, and I think you all need to hear it too. So I lead an intro to FUMC class. This is the first one that I've led in 9 months. Many of you here may have been through the class with me over the years. I've been teaching it for a long time, and it is one of my favorite things to do in ministry here at our church, because it's a time where we set aside to get to know new folks, to hear about their story, to share the story of the church, and help them engage, and then if they choose membership at the end, that's what we do. And so the beginning class started this Wednesday, and it was a simple question: share what you would like to about yourself, and then tell me why you're here. And we went around the room. There were 8 of us in the room, and masked. And we went around the room, and every single person had their own story, but they had the same story. And that story was, I can't join this church fast enough. I love this church. From the moment I came in these doors, from the moment that I worshiped online, I felt like this church here at FUMC Waynesville is where I belong. And that story brought me to tears, because over and over again, we're listening to it. And that tells me a lot about God. It tells me a lot about the nature of who we are as the church here at FUMC of Waynesville. Because even through all the barriers that we have, The inability to always be in person. We have to wear a mask. We have to stand behind plexiglass. We have to distance ourselves. All these things. And we have a vibrant online presence where we don't really see who's participating at any given Sunday. The message of the gospel, the message of who we are as a body of Christ continues to permeate. And people want to be a part of that and join in with how we are working in the community and how we are the church together. So I share that with you all. There were many other things I'd like to share, but this is about you all talking. So I'll stop talking. But it is very affirming to hear those words.
Thanks, Becky. I just want to say a few things too, and start with my gratitude. I'm feeling very grateful for this meeting this afternoon. I liked that when we were talking about this idea that Becky said, it'd be just like a family meeting. I grew up with those, where Mom and Dad would call us all into the living room, we would just talk about stuff, and there would be family night and every once in a while a family meeting. And it wasn't always like when we were in trouble kind of meeting. It was, to dream stuff too. I'm grateful for an opportunity. In theory, this is a time when you all are going to be doing most of the talking, and so I'm not going to say much. But I am grateful for that we have microphones here and that you can have an opportunity to share what your hopes are, any story that you would like to share about your experiences, what they have been. I think we all have felt such a deep sense of loss, and everything just seems so weird. But I think in the midst of it all, and Becky's story, and stories that we hear, there's been a lot of good stuff too. And I think anything that you can share, we as a staff and leadership team are excited about an opportunity to just listen. So, in fact, if you're a member of the leadership team and you're in this room, would you stand? If you're streaming live online, I don't think it's possible for us to see you, but would leadership team folks mind standing just so that everybody else could see you? Yeah. Thank you all for being here. And one of the things that we always say, or at least it's printed a lot of times, is that anytime you have feedback or questions, that our leadership team members are available for that, and in addition to the staff. So I'm grateful for today, and I thank you for coming, and thank you for being with us online. And I understand that you can text any comments or questions, and we can get those. But I want to start by just let you know that I feel very grateful for you. Just thank you for being you. When everything shut down last year, y'all didn't shut down. One of those early conversations, if not one of the first ones, because we had to shut down being together and sitting in these pews and in the chairs in the gym, was, oh no, we won't have any offering plates. When we were afraid of no offering plates, we discovered that we didn't need offering plates, because and in 2020 it was the second largest giving year in our history. So when we were worried about, did my microphone go out? Okay, I can go there. So when we were worried about you all, about our members being alone and our need to stay connected, well, you guys stepped it up. You used your phones and you wrote your letters, and some of you even dared to learn Zoom. And a time when we, there was just a lot of aloneness and a lot of isolation, somehow the sense that we got on the staff was that we were together and that we were connected. When we began feeling afraid about our community, like how can we continue to be the church when everything is locked down and shut down and all, we discovered that you guys never stopped being the church. So that our homeless neighbors had bathrooms, porta-johns. They had hot showers. Our families who were struggling to make ends meet and needed food, they encountered you in our food pantry and in Manna pop-ups. And then, you know, a month ago when tragedy hits, that was a very overwhelming thing, this flood. And equally overwhelming was that almost instantly our lobby is just filled with stuff. And, you know, the bank account is growing this fund to, you know, to help flood relief victims. So for me personally, and I know we shared on the staff, it wasn't a surprise. It was just rediscovering and remembering who you are. I'm equally grateful for our staff. There's no way that I can tell you the work that this group has done. A lot of times you'll see a staff member that looks just really tired, and it's because they are. There is this unselfish commitment to do things well and to do things right, and the leadership among your staff is amazing, and there are no words that I can say to adequately express that. But we all know that, you know, that we're not perfect, and we've tried to get through some pretty tough stuff. You know, March of last year, that's what, almost a year and a half, where we've had to try to figure out a lot of things. And I can honestly say, I'm just so grateful to God that I'm in this with you. I haven't really tried hard to imagine what it might have been like to be the pastor of another church, but it could not have been any better than doing this with you all. So there's a lot of things that I can say, and I'm not going to say all of them. I just know that we've had a lot of challenges behind us, and there are some before us too. And I feel excited about that, though. You know, the journey that we've been on, I'm convinced that kingdom's going to happen because of FUMC Waynesville. So, and Mike's going to share a little bit, about some things, and then we want to turn you guys loose on the microphones. But one of the big things that happened to us was both amazing and also awful, and that was, Scott Taylor announces that he's feeling the call to ministry, which is a pretty amazing thing. But the awful part is just our loss, and so I know one of the big questions that we've had all along is the process of finding someone to replace Scott, which as soon as I say those words, I realize, well, that's not going to happen because there's not another Scott. So I just wanted to give you all an update on just that whole process from the point where Scott, shared with us that this was what he needed to do. Immediately, an interim situation was established, and that was, and you all are aware of this, but that Kathy McNeil, our organist, is the interim director and leading us in that, and that Becky is assisting and helping her, and that we're going to give them all the support that we can to make music and worship arts happen, and that includes a lot of you too. That together we're going to make Sundays happen. And what we were wanting to achieve in that was we don't want to have to rush and make quick decisions. And so, having an interim situation in place affords us that luxury to do that. Now, we need to be careful to keep the ball rolling, that kind of stuff. And so we formed a search committee, and I don't know how many of you all are here tonight, but this is the search committee, and it's the primary committee, and there are going to be, the plan is that there are going to be other groups that will help inform this process. And part of today is, as you think about what's on your heart, it can be about any subject, but certainly this is one of those. We want to be listening to you as a congregation about what your hopes and dreams are. But the search committee, and if you're here, if you're comfortable with standing, that would be awesome. Dwight Oltman, Catherine Messer-Smith, Jim Carell, Frank Stith, Ted Adams, Fritzy Wise, Jennifer Martin, Rachel Yates, and Lily Seymour. And so this group is going to begin to shape the position. I was told that there was a, what do you call that thing? A job description for when we hired Scott, however many years ago that was, and Scott just kind of blew that thing up. He didn't do everything that was on that list, but he did so many other things. And so really changed life around here as it relates to music and worship and he was in everybody's business, and that ended up being a really beautiful thing. So the first part is envisioning what it is that we're looking for, and in part, you are listening to you and your comments, once that's determined, we put it out in the platforms, and people begin saying, "Hey, I would like the job," and y'all know how that goes. So just know that there's a commitment to do this well. We were able to do that. Those of you who helped on the search committee for our new youth director, I think it took us a year to go through that process, and so that's what we're imagining, the same kind of thing, and pretty excited about those possibilities. And I think that's all I want to say. Mike's going to share a few things, and then I can add more if I need to.
I'm going to stand. I don't know how you're sitting. When I was thinking about talking, I had to stand. I have worked here since 2003, and I have never been more proud to work here than I have in the last 2 years. I echo what Keith says about y'all's support, but I'm really proud of the staff that we work with and the job that they do, six of which were hired in their current position over COVID. There's one person in particular came their first day, "Here's your laptop, go home, learn to Zoom. We'll tell you how things are going to go and how things are going to happen over that time." But this group has done amazing. Even just in the beginning, it seemed like all we were trying to do was recreate church. The experiences here, how do we make that happen at home? And then, of course, as time goes on, you have to pivot from that. It's like, well, how are you going to create new experiences that matter, experiences that connect? And I feel like that staff was always reaching out to do stuff. And because of that, things that we had that seemed small, like our YouTube channel, which was really only used for archiving services and stuff, all of a sudden became a tool that was able to use in all kinds of different ways. Kathy's hymn sing, which was participated by a handful of people once a week. And a lot of people might not even know it even existed. All of a sudden it becomes our biggest, longest lasting show rather than worship services, as Nick likes to say, and staff. And we have a great following that goes into that, and we hear all the time the meaning of how meaningful that is. So this staff, no matter whatever curveball was thrown at them, they've been able to kind of go through and do that. And I've been impressed, especially with our building staff, which lost some people during this time who moved on. We've been able to hire some of them back. We're not back to where we were, the number that we were before COVID, still trying to find all those people. But all of a sudden we've reopened. I don't know if you're here during the week, but it's amazing how busy we are. This week we had FEMA on the 3rd floor using the upstairs in the education wing as offices. We have expanded our support groups so that they can't even just meet in the friendship house anymore. They're down in the youth area. Of course, we have the after school that goes on with that. We have organizations like Heights and Kids at Work, Helping Hands of Haywood, using our facility to do their programs and to be able to reach out. And for our building staff, all of a sudden their job is different than just setting chairs up or making sure doors are unlocked, that as soon as a group leaves, we got to make sure it's cleaned and all that. And so all the scheduling, all the stuff, and they've never said it's too much. They just kind of keep going and do that. So I am just so proud to work with them too. I'm excited about how the church has responded back and that we're here, but I also know that we've had, just like anyone else, we've all had these COVID frustrations. We have them personally in our homes. We have them just when we go out to eat or services and other places, and we felt the same thing here at church. We had these great plans to have a playground. We had them money delivered, plans signed in the middle of April. By May, we're going to have all the new stuff, and here we are in September, and we're still waiting on equipment to come in and sub work to be done so that the project can be completed. We're sitting in one of my little foxes now. We're in the sanctuary. Pre-COVID, we had an idea of we wanted the lighting system in here was back in the late 90s, and we wanted to kind of rehaul it so it's more efficient. easier to change and be able to affect sort of the worship style that we've been able to grow in here as we are. But of course, as COVID happened, we've had to kind of audible that, and we still have those big plans, but they keep getting pushed because getting people to do them. So now we're like thinking of, all right, what's plan B? How do we get, without the electrician that we've normally used to do that, or the things there, how do we get that? So I will say we have a short-term plan. I'm hoping that, we won't go into the winter with darkness in here with that. I also know that the staff, and why I am so proud of them, because I see I know not so much the stuff that they do, but the stuff that I know they work on, and it doesn't happen. I think 2 months ago, if you'd have told me we'd be sitting in the sanctuary and in the gym, still in mask, still doing online worship, I would say, no, there's no way. That's not. We had hope. I mean, there was such hope in the summer of what the programs were going to look like, because it is hard. It's hard to run youth and with COVID and with masks and things. It's hard to do Bible school where you're having to keep so much stuff outside, and it's just thinking that we're going to be able to get back to, I guess, a normal. And then when the numbers started rising and we started getting into September, we had to kind of pivot again too to see what it was, and that's where we kind of changed. We were going to be done with online worship. Labor Day weekend was going to be our send-off to that, and but because the numbers were going up, and as we watch with analytics and how that service continued to grow with people watching, we thought we want to make sure we can deliver something online every Sunday. We thought about streaming, but when we had watched other churches who were doing streaming in the morning, if the internet goes out or the power goes, there's a Sunday that people are at home don't get a service. So we wanted to make sure we continue to be with our virtual presence out there doing that. And so, my hope is that we're going to be able to stream in person things. We had to learn how to walk before we run. And so we decided to keep going on. So we're going to do our online worship, which I feel like is effective, and where our numbers have stayed is because if you're watching this at home, or we're glad you're still watching. I know there are people who've not come back to the building who have joined, people who've not walked into the building who are watching, but that the online worship is an intentional thing where we're able to do creative things, where we're able to talk to the camera, and it's not people watching other people worship, but it's a chance that we can try to still make that connection. I'm very grateful for Nick and all the hard work he does, not just making that happen, but with his creative mind, thinking of how we can make those things happen. So that's kind of where we are with that in worship. And again, in COVID, I never criticize anyone who's had to make a decision in COVID. Making decisions in COVID are really hard, but I am really glad to be in this place, because I know that whatever decision we make is something that says yes to the community, says yes to a need, and it goes in there. And what we're doing today is not a long-range plan. Everything we're doing is what we're doing right now. If you're asking me what our worship plan is for First United Methodist Churches, we have 3 worship services. We have a live contemporary service, a live traditional service. We have one online. That doesn't mean that's what's going to be forever. It just means that's what we're doing right now. But again, I just want to thank you for supporting us, and I want to thank the staff, the ones who are here, the ones who are online, the ones who are getting ready for programs tonight, because I got a call this week from a buddy at another church, and he was like, hey, how are y'all thinking about getting confirmation back up? How are you going to do it this year? I was like, we didn't stop confirmation. We confirmed. We've done 2 confirmation classes over COVID, and we met with a group of 18 that are going to be doing it today. And it's different, because in the talk that George and Keith were talking, we have to say, well, in the event or when we're not able to meet, here's how you do it on Zoom, and we'll be able to do that and share the experiences with that. So again, I'm just grateful for the staff and their willingness to do that, and just thank y'all for being here.
So I think this is just going to be as simple as y'all coming to the microphone and sharing. So just a reminder that we are going to record it. We were talking about who's going to take notes, but that's going to be our note taker, is the fact that it's recorded. So we would love to hear from as many of you that would like to come. And if you're streaming this at home, you can send texts, and they've got that information right on their screen. Okay. Does that microphone work now? Okay. I could do like an altar call thing.
Well, this may be a little on the periphery, but it's relevant. Salt class this morning, we heard from Celeste Willett from the Haywood, the overall, anyway, one of the questions was about flood recovery. What does she think are some of the really big needs? And she said spiritual counseling and listening was one thing that she gave the example of. Some of the people, we've had a lot of different people from the church have gone out to Christian Methodists and different stuff, and some are doing meals out there now. But I got to thinking about, we have a lot of retired ministers in the congregation who would be a resource to listen to people and give them, ask pertinent questions and so on. And I don't know what it would take to organize. I know there's a group, ecumenical group, especially in Canton, but I think we're all connected to that too, and it may be through that somehow. But that's just, all the retired ministers is one resource not every community has, but we do in First Church. Think about it.
Didn't really ask a question as much as just sharing a need in our community for the flood victims that in their SALT class today, as they talked about the question was raised, what are the biggest needs? And spiritual needs really surface as one of the big ones. And so George is saying that we've got so many retired clergy that we should be able to send a small army of folks to listen and nurture, care for the soul needs of some of our neighbors. So, which I think was a great thing. Becky and I are connected with it's the Canton Missional Network that's kind of creeping its way into Waynesville. So we've been a part of these meetings, at least one of us, on an almost weekly basis. And I do know, George, that there's been some emphasis on getting those active clergy present as much as possible. So.
One of the things that I would like to have an idea, and you may not know, but is have our building plans been put totally on hold? And they probably have, but haven't heard that specifically. And that vision of that big open space that's so inviting, that was on a drawing that we looked at some time back, was just so cool, and I keep remembering that. The other thing that might be addressed is with the open door that we have in some of the church, the World United Methodist Church versus national, and I'm not quite sure how to express this, but there looks like there'll be an amicable divorce. What does that mean for us in the big church nationally and in First Church?
And you all know we're going to respond to this, all of this stuff collectively. So there'll be information coming out. So that it's not just an opinion of one of the three of us. That it's we want to respond in a more solid way. So.
those who, I am hearing impaired, and we used to have a T-coil in our system that worked. Before the pandemic started, I could sit anywhere in the church and hear what was going on. Now my hearing aids aren't picking it up, and I keep checking my hearing aids. In fact, I sent them back to the factory, so it must be here. But at any rate, it would help if that T-coil was in operation again. I hear I hear the noise, but I don't understand a lot of what's being said. So I would appreciate if that was worked on. That's a mechanical thing, but it's part of inclusion.
I'm happy to bring this to anyone if someone doesn't want to walk all the way to the front. Okay. Thank you. I'm happy to bring this to anyone if you don't want to walk all the way to the front.
One of the reasons that Rush and I chose this church is for that magnificent instrument that sits behind the three of you and the amazing music program, which I am missing so desperately. We've always done that when it was time to choose a church. We went first to hear the music. Music, as we all know, feeds the soul where nothing else can touch. And honestly, and I don't mean this to sound cruel, but I'm currently missing so much. My soul is not being fed. I'm a traditional worshiper. I know this, I speak to the impossible. During COVID, we can't have what we had 18 months ago. I know that. But I'm wondering, in the search committee, has anything been discussed about an interim music director? I personally know somebody who's recently retired from the Florida conference who is quite willing to come and be interim. He does not want to be hired, but he wants to serve as an interim if possible. I can certainly pass that name and contact information along to anybody who's interested, but I need more out of our music right now, and I think there are other people sitting here that can probably say the same thing. I honestly respect the fact that we are battling so much, and I'm wondering about the self-care about you all as well. I hope you're taking time. I hope you're putting things on your calendar that says, I can go to lunch with my husband, I can go to lunch with my wife, but I hope you're doing self-care as well. But I'm just here to speak to the fact that I'm really longing and desperate for more of our music, even in this interim time.
Well, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. I think we all feel that, and almost immediately that was the loss that we felt. And a big part of our conversations all along have been when can we sing again? And you remember when Scott was here, we whispered some things behind masks, and which doesn't even begin to hold a candle to what our souls long for. And so, we're all feeling that. And as far as interim situation, and we're currently in that, and Kathy is leading us, and when she's unable to be here, she's gotten some very gifted organists, and we're a gifted church musically. And the search committee will, and the staff and the leadership team, I mean, that's just an ongoing, as with everything else, decisions are made of what things are going to look like and what it's going to be. And like Mike said, we had hoped 2 months ago that September would be different, and we feared the rise in numbers and all. So, but yeah, it's that is we haven't lost sight of that importance because we feel it too, and so we're working to we'll be working as with other things to get back to that as quickly as possible. So, and as far as like the search committee goes and that process that's moving forward, that's any feedback that the congregation can, that's part of the idea is that we want to receive all thoughts and feedback and names of people and that sort of thing. It's fine to do that. So.
We've had a couple online. Corinne Faircloth wanted to make sure that that we're able to address the future of the 8:30 service. Was something she wanted to bring up, and also for speakers who are and to that, like again, we're not addressing all these to go. What we're doing right now is only what we're doing right now, it is not what we're going to be doing forever. It's just these are the 3 services that we're able to put on right now, and as we move forward, we will keep going. But there has been no decision of the future of, or even like talks of what the future of worship is with that. So there's no loss there. And if we could, the congregation, as you guys come up, or the folks who are speaking in the microphone, we're getting a little complaints online that you just hold it a little closer. They're not able to hear you speak when you speak in there. So we're getting that from folks online. Anyone else? Sorry, I should have taken my mask off when I was speaking. So, oh, absolutely, yeah. And your opinions and thoughts on 8:30 service, if you have those, please feel free to share those. We want to hear those. Again, and that was just to Corinne, wanting to make sure that there is a future for that. And again, like I said, nothing has been discussed by anything other than that. So, and make sure we speak to in the microphone.
Yeah, Maggie passed it off to me, so if you want the mic, let me know.
I've just returned to, well, I think they can hear me. I've just returned to Waynesville. And yes, we're church shopping. And one of the things that I'm experiencing right now is I don't know anyone. I mean, I don't know who you guys are, except we've been here 3 Sundays. And so we wanted to come to this to have an opportunity to hear what was going on. But when you're talking about this 8:30 service, I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't think until today that there was any other service but today at 11. So it's really important, and we've been in the church for years and years and years. So if someone's brand new even to the faith, this would be very difficult for them.
I'll be happy to explain the 8:30 service. So before COVID, we had an 8:30 traditional service here in this space. It wasn't with a full choir, but there was a morning song. There was amazing music. Sometimes it'd be the banjo and different things. But a more traditional service. And then an 8:40 contemporary service, or the awakening service in our gym, and then a Sunday school hour, and then our 11 o'clock, about as traditional as you can get service with amazing music and full choir, and handbells were today, strong music program in all of our services. So for me, as coming into this as a new pastor 4 years ago, I would come into the 8:30 service and I'd preach early, and then I would leave, and then I'd get to the other service just in time for me to preach. And then after I preached and said a benediction, I would run the confirmation class, and then come in here at 11. And so that's kind of like what Sunday mornings were. And so as we came back, as we began, of course, when COVID hit and everything shut down, we had 2 online recorded services, an awakening service, which was the contemporary style, and a traditional service. And then when we started creeping back into this place with masks on, our first move was just make a 9 o'clock contemporary, 11 o'clock traditional, because it was limited to 25 people, and So that's kind of still where we are. So the question about the 8:30 service is, when are we going to go back to what we were? And I'll, just full disclosure, as your pastor, I would love for and there will be conversations about what Sunday mornings will be, and I am going to share my thoughts about, is there any way we can have worship services where I can be at all of them for the whole time, because it's just, well, you're just not, felt like the hired gun as the preacher. And it worked, so, I'm a team player, and whatever the future looks like, I'm great with that. But anyway, that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of what our Sunday mornings were. Yeah, and I'm excited that you came to today and that you're worshiping. From Frank Donovan. Frank says, I would like us to explore partnering with RIP Medical Debt Program.
The church has several mission projects in the budget. I think 11 at my count. I was wondering if any of the money had been sent to any of these mission projects.
Thank you. See, well, we're learning. All our missions were paid out last year. We were already paid out for missions this year, except for maybe a couple internationals that will definitely be paid out before we get to the quarter. We have not cut any of that from our budget. In fact, we've increased above and beyond into giving of that. So the mission has been strong in the last 2 years here.
Just a couple of quick things to say. First, a comment. Well, let's make it a compliment. I really appreciate the staff taking over and figuring out how to do worship, how to do Sunday school, how to do Wonderful Wednesday in an electronic fashion. And I've seen some great benefits from that, and I'm wondering, maybe the second part's a question or maybe even a proposal, should we continue to do this? We've seen record numbers of Sunday school attendance in our SALT class just because we're keeping a hybrid meeting of Sunday school going. And I've also really appreciated the option of being able to view the worship services online when I can't be in town. We found ourselves out of town quite a bit, taking care of our grandson, just because of the crisis that was going on. But I think this thing could continue, and we'd reach a lot more people if we could figure out how to continue in a hybrid fashion.
I'll start off by sharing a little story. In fall of 2019, the Creation Care Ministries team got started here at the church. And then within the next 3 or 4 months, everything started changing. And we know what happened then. The thing that's been amazing is the fact that with the additional technology and the ability to capitalize on Zooming, we've continued, we've built, we've made contacts with others, we've encouraged a similar ministry at Grace Episcopal. And I guess the main thing I want to say is there is a lot that has happened during the pandemic for the better. And I think for me, as a climate change advocate, I would certainly appreciate having the hybrid opportunity that you can choose to worship and to meet and to have Wednesday night book studies in a hybrid situation, because that means we don't have to get in our cars and drive somewhere. So there is an awful lot of new things that have happened that we really need to take a close look, appreciate the fact that we're coming back with Wonderful Wednesday with the hybrid situation. So keep up that work, and I cannot tell you how much we all appreciate the work of the staff, especially in going down the lines of the technology. Kudos to Nick. The Lord always provides. We don't always follow through. So let's do that.
Debbie Ray has a comment. It's thanks for making Children's Sunday School possible again. I think she's talking about in-person Children's Sunday School.
Yeah, Bill just was curious about the name tags and would like, because we have visitors at our meeting here, if y'all didn't get that at home, and so that was a name tag. Advocate for the name tags. Thanks, Bill.
I hope you have a little patience with my voice. Age has caught up to me. I just, looking around here, I know everybody here knew the situation when we went from 2 services to 4 services with the fire and a lot of things. But I'd like to mention that we had, at least Gordon and I didn't have any choice or talk about those 3 services. They just all of a sudden appeared to us that we were going to have 3, and we thought, we're going to kill our ministers. I really did. And I was almost booed out the place when I said Catholic Church has started a Saturday evening Mass, and they built their services up enormously. But, you know, I got the eye. But our minister at that time that was leaving us, not coming in, was the leader of saying, we will have 3 services, and our prime minister will say, preach at every meal. Listen, you can tell I'm hungry. At every service. So I don't know if you all felt the way we did about not really having our choice about that, having you and others, because we felt we had so many wonderful ministers around here that wouldn't mind doing one of the services. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's history, I know. The other thing, and its history, is this church is a member forever of Stephen Ministry. And if you remember, we had Stephen Ministry here about 12 years. And it was, I think, successful. It's just we needed more help like the ministers do, and we needed more ministers. This time, that program would be so beneficial to the flood people, because it's one-on-one men with women, and they don't feel intimidated because we're not ministers. So I think that helps, but that's just a personal opinion and a little history, if it might help at all. Thank you.
It's me again, Margaret. As I'm struggling with pretty good hearing, to hear everyone here, I'm being reminded that we've had ongoing problems, sorry Dad, with acoustics and what the long-range plan to try. I know we've tried several things, but acoustics here aren't great. And what are our plans to try to fix that? Maybe at the same time as the lighting? Anyway, I'll get out of Jolene's way. It's me again.
We could talk about the acoustics all day, but the amazing thing is, I bet you, without knowing a couple of people here, I could point out anybody that ever taught school, because you can hear them when they come up here. It's amazing. Absolutely, anybody that taught school. I've been in this church for 30 years now, and been in the choir, so I understand what she's saying about music. If you're a musician, your heart just aches. For Scott and Kathy, they were just outstanding. But that's not, I'm just here to tell a little story. Our visitor today, I'm so glad you came, because I met the loveliest person a couple of weeks ago, and we started talking. I've always been one of my things I do in thankfulness of my life is I always invite people to come to church, because I talk a lot, and that's one thing I'm good at, and I've brought a lot of wonderful musicians and people here. So I said, oh, you're looking around. Well, then you've got to come to our church. You know, we have all these wonderful things. And she said, where are you? And I said, we're the First United Methodist Church right across from the post office. And she said, we visited there, and we're not coming back. She said, no one spoke to us. Broke my heart. I thought, that just can't be our church. That can't be our church. But I think, and I'm only bringing this up because that's not what this meeting is for, but it's the mask. You know, you're not going to go up and shake somebody's hand. You're not going to pull it down and say, do I know you? Or have I met you before? So just everybody, wake up and don't ever let anybody, I do it all the time, but I'm getting really older and I forget people's names. But it's a great excuse, because you can say, take your mask down, I don't remember your name. I can't really recognize you, and say hello, welcome, and just, this is a wonderful church, and you have done a fabulous job. At first I thought I would miss the traditional a lot. And when I would see you come out in your jeans and by the stream and stuff, I thought, well, I can handle this. This is, and I love your stories, and I love your compost pile, all that stuff. And it's the most friendly, loving, caring group of people in this town. So don't be discouraged. We'll get by this, but let's don't let anybody else come in this door, even if they look vaguely familiar. You know, because I've had people I worked with 30 years ago. I don't remember them necessarily, which is terrible, but they remember just saying, pull your mask down. I don't quite recognize you. But anyway, thank you. Okay. Tell her to come back to. We have wonderful women's circles. And Wednesday nights are fun. No, it's Thursday. Change the climate Thursday. Which we didn't like.
So we talked about, Keith, you're raising your hand? I was going to say, we talked about an hour-long meeting, but we're here, so the three of us are good with continuing, but if you do need to leave, it's fine if you scoot out. We won't think poorly of you.
I would like to speak to the choir. Those of us that are in the choir, there is no one that would rather be back there than us in Mass as a group. There's no one who would rather be in the choir room every Thursday night for 2.5 hours if it took it to practice and bring beautiful music, but it's just right now not safe. We have immunocompromised people in the choir. We have an immunocompromised interim director. And so we have to take precautions. We want to be there. But one of the things I will say is the choir has, I think, felt a little bit disconnected. And one of the things that we talked about, a couple of us talked about at lunch today, was the fact that we had Zoom meetings for a while when the pandemic started. And we would like to restart those so that we have some feeling of connectedness with each other, because we actually do miss each other. We do kind of like each other. So that's just something I would say that we would like to see reinstituted, and whatever it takes, I mean, if I need to facilitate it, I can.
I'm a little short here. I've been in the church for 9 years, and one of the things that has meant so much to me is what happens beyond these walls. I know I want to get back here and I want to have in-person Wednesday night. I want to have those kinds of things. But what we were doing beyond in mission and in the community, I hope that will continue to be one of our primary focuses. I'm here a lot on the Friendship House on Saturdays, and I see what goes on there and the welcoming that we have. And my dream for the future is we will just expand on that. And also some of the work we did, particularly around racism last year on Wednesday nights and community, and actually saying, okay, what not can we just not learn about, but what can we do to make a difference in this community? So I hope we'll continue that.
Anybody else? Well, I really, again, just want to thank you all for coming. And no, this is just, this was just an in-person opportunity that we wanted to provide, in the same way that folks shared through text from home. The communication needs to continue, and you all have done that all along the journey. You've shared concerns, and you have encouraged the staff. I can't say how many times I've gotten a card from one of you, and I just sit and cry because I feel supported and loved, and so thank you for that, and you can keep that up too. The staff, I know, appreciates the love that you share. So anyway, keep communicating with us and sharing your dreams because it matters. I mean, we really, we never want to make leadership decisions in a vacuum. We want to have a sense of your heart and your dreams, and which was a part of what we wanted to experience tonight. So, and we'll, there were some great things shared, and we'll respond to those hopefully sooner than later. So let's pray together. Gracious God, we're grateful that we are together and that you have called each of us from so many different places, not just geographically, but spiritually and intellectually. And we're a diverse group in lots of ways. We've been reminded our need to work with our community, and it's a reminder that we're not such a diverse group either. There's so much that we have to be thankful for with who we are and the gifts that are in this place and the ways that we have been blessed by life in this place. But we also know that we are still becoming and that you are calling us to greater things. And so our prayer is one of gratitude for the ways that you've been with us and have blessed us, but it's also a cry for help that, Lord, you would anoint us. Give us wisdom and eyes to see and hearts to feel the heartbeat of this community so that we can be your people in this place and that your kingdom will grow. And Lord, we just pray that you would give us a spirit of renewal, because there are days when we're extremely tired, all of us, trying to navigate through our personal needs and families and work and also our life and responsibilities as a church, that we will find moments to simply breathe and know that your Spirit is holding us and renewing us. Give us the rest and the strength that we need so that together we can hit the ground running and hit our stride and be your church in this place. We ask for your blessing in the name of Christ. Amen. Y'all have a great week.